Jay.
Jai.
And want to welcome everybody here to our Zoom ashram satsang. And thank you everyone for coming. It's a very powerful time we found as we've done a few of these already. And we want to especially welcome Pujari, who's up here known as Gerard Brower.
Yeah,
and
that's my Dutch name.
And Anjani, what's your name called? Oh, you also have the same name as your husband on the screen, and she's a little darker because it is dark in Russia right now. But they're here from Russia, and I'm we're all very excited. I'm excited to hear their stories. Some I've heard, and some we'll hear again. And I want to welcome Jonathan from the ashram.
Jonathan, yeah, lovely to see you
Jonathan.
after many years.
Hi.
Yeah,
Friend's
Very
probably,
strong.
Tom's probably out working, but he always catches them later, and he loves these as well. He loves the songs that we have. Um, so we want to welcome everybody. I will tell you the format is going to be that when Pujari and Anjani are speaking, I'm going to highlight them so that we'll just see their picture. And we'll ask that each person mutes so that we make sure we don't have any background noise. So we can just hear them well. And then you can unmute in between so you can ask questions. So this is a satsang time for you to ask if, you want to know, how did Anjani come to meet Babaji? I'm going to ask that question, Anjani, so get ready.
yeah.
or Pujari, they're all amazing stories. Or how does it relate now to your life? What is your practice now? Whatever question you want. Can we come visit you in Russia? Whatever you'd like to ask. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully remember how to spotlight. I just lighted you, and I want to spotlight on. There we go. Add spotlight. There. Now we get to see the both of you very nicely. So, does somebody have a question you would like to begin with, or would you like them just to talk a little bit about themselves?
Looks like a little bit about themselves first.
Great. I think that's a great idea. So why don't each of you just tell briefly how you came to Babaji? Lynn,
Okay.
Lynn, I think you are not muted, so can you make sure you're muted? Flashing up here. Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay.
Ole Baba Ki Jai.
Shall I go first about my
Yeah,
story about
start
how I came to Babaji? Yeah, I will tell it a little bit from, because I came from America. I went from America to Herekan. And there's a story before that. I was like a shopkeeper with my brother. We had 3 record shops in Holland, and I was very active in that, and also active with playing music. And it was a very intensive period. For since I was a child, 21, 22, we started these shops one after the other, and it was such a lovely business because every day it was like Santa Claus. We get all these boxes with new music and new records. It doesn't matter if it's Fleetwood Mac or it was another one from David Bowie, or everything went around. For Eric Clapton has a new one. Everything was beautiful. So every day I had a lot of fun with the music until after 3-4 years doing that and very successful. Just one morning, my whole world changed because I had a very deep experience that my normal thinking conceptual mind was gone. So I just woke up in another state of consciousness. And that was a very magical period. I said to my brother, with whom we were doing the businesses together, sorry, I'm not going to work. He could see that I was in another state. And I said, I just leave it to you and for the moment. And I just went walking in the park, sit on the bench, look at the flowers. It was so dramatic that my normal thinking mind just didn't function. I was just in a way in the moment, you can imagine, more as a 1 or 2, 3-year-old baby looking at the world in a fresh way. Like I had not seen a flower or a tree or a human being. Everything was like new for me in such an intensity as a baby looks into the world. And it was very enjoyable and very beautiful. It lasted for more than a week. But I had no idea what it was, or no spiritual concept of what is going on. So slowly, after 1 week to 10 days, this state went away and my mind came back. And the first thing I remember, my mind said, "Oh, I want to live like this," because it was very fulfilling. It was incredibly beautiful. And from that moment, I said to my brother, "Well, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going back to work. I'm going to an island to contemplate on, to see what's going on," because he could see that my mind was back again, not strong, but it was active again in a way that you follow he makes suggestions what to do. I went to the library to get some books from Jung and some other psychological books which were available at that time, and went to an island for a week. And the books didn't give me much comfort because I didn't really find directly some things about what happened to me. But I saw, while I was there on the television, a movie about the Zen monastery in Germany. And that was in the Black Forest, it was called. And there was a Zen, an older man of 70 years old, and he was like a Zen master, and he had a thing. So I wrote him a letter about my experience, and he said, "That's very beautiful. You can come to me and stay with me for a while." So that was my journey. I left my business and my home, and I went to this man, just also only for 2 or 3 weeks. Then came back, and then it went from one thing into the other, until I got on track. That I said to my brother, "Well, the business, it is really not my thing anymore. I completely changed. I became a vegetarian. I left many habits. It was like my old personality was just not there anymore. So I had a shift, and I had to build up a new way of life. So from there, I started to do other things. I started to be involved with some art and some theater, and for just a few months, until I ended up in a Gurdjieff Uspensky school, which was a very interesting period for me. And there I learned many beautiful, some exercises about how to be aware, how to develop inner awareness. But the main thing is that the main thing what happened to me is what I described. I experienced it now. It was like a wake-up call from Babaji, who just threw me in a very beautiful altered state of being. And from there, I started to drop all my things what I had in going on. It took me about 3/4 of a year, I think, to be in that in-between state. And then I heard about Leonard Orr was coming to Holland with rebirthing, and also that he had met Babaji and he knew where he was. So I did some course when he was there in Holland with rebirthing, which was also very helpful and attractive to me. And then I followed him. I followed him to Colorado, to California, to Campbell Hot Springs. So I hear some echo from somebody.
Yeah, I think perhaps I see a word, Smita. If Smita's on, please make sure you mute if everybody could make sure your mute is on your computer. Thank you. Go ahead, Pujari.
Yeah, go ahead. I was already in America. I was going to California, and I went to Campbell Hot Springs and stayed there for, I think, almost half a year doing rebirthing. I got my driver license, an American driver license there. I bought a little camper bus. I traveled around with rebirthing and Leonard and some other people. It was a very purifying time for me to sit in nature and to sit in the hot springs and to do a lot of breathing. I had very deep experiences also with that, of even out of body experiences. And well, I will go in all of that, but it was a very intense period for me. And then from there, I wrote to Babaji. Let me say that I read, of course, the book of Yogananda. In that period, I read maybe 50 to 100 of spiritual books. So I got acquainted with what's going on and what happened to me and what are possibilities that can happen with your life if you go in a spiritual direction. So, but then when I was reading a book, which was the main impulse, it was from Swami Rama. And there was a chapter about old Herakam Baba. And just when I saw that picture, I had to cry and cry and cry. And I don't know what happened to me. And there was only very little text. And it was a very exquisite saint, but there was not much known about him. So it was more just a picture and a few half a page of information about old Herakam Baba. And it touched my heart so deeply that I felt a connection. So that's also why I got in touch with Leonard, and he said, yeah, but Babaji is now in a new body alive. So I wrote from Campbell Hot Springs, I wrote to Babaji if I could come. At that time, you needed permission if you wanted to come. That was the protocol. So I wrote, and soon a letter came back from Gaura Devi, you can come anytime. So, wow, great. So that was my road from some extreme experience, like a wake-up call from Babaji, and I gave all my things away. I said to my brother, you do what you like with the house and my car, and we had a house together, and I gave all my belongings. I had a music studio. I gave everything away to my friends, which they were very happy. And then America, and from America, I went with a little backpack to Hirakan. And that was the fulfillment of everything. Walking through the river, Babaji was standing at the stairs of the 108 stairs down there. And when I walked in, he touched my forehead with his thumb and looked in my eyes, and I just felt completely released of all tensions of my road of coming there. And he comforted me and said, you go up, you go there, you find your room. And a little bit later, we'll see you at the arti. So I came also with the faith that I'm approaching Babaji, the immortal master. So it was a beautiful meeting, and Baba comforted me, and he showed me the way up to the office, get my room. And in the evening, we were sitting outside. It was probably May, June, when I came in 1981. And we were singing Arti outside, and in the evening he passed by when he was coming out to give his darshan, and he stroked me over the head and comforted me from everything. Okay, you relax. And that was the beginning of my relaxation around such an intense, beautiful, incredible, beautiful being, which I slowly started to discover. And that has of course many layers of things to explain. The same that slowly you see that he knows everything what's going on in you. He knows my thoughts, my emotions. He knew my past. There are many stories I can share a little bit later, which was very intensive, because it's one thing I will share now, and then I will give it to Anjani, how she came to Babaji. But the strong thing, Babaji always gave me chandan like this, like the Vishnu chandan. And later he told me that I was a Pujari in a South Indian Ram temple. And Muniraji was also present, so he also heard all that things that Babaji told about me, and that there I built up the good karmas to physically meet him in this lifetime. So that was very comforting. But for 1 year, he put his chandan always like this to me. And the first year, he gave me many different jobs. I had to do a fruit shop, I did a bakery, I baked pizza and other things in Hirakan, and I sometimes was the shopkeeper when Raghu was not there. And I had a fruit shop, and work in the stones in the riverbed, of course, until he made me his Pujari. And then something changed. Then that was a big shift for me. that I thought, because after 1 year I was still wondering, well, why Baba just keeps on giving me this chandan from Vishnu? No, I'm now with Shiva, and they said, but when he explained, then okay, then at once he did, one day he did like this, he changed it. So I had very fun chandan for 1 day because it was going like half Vishnu and half Shiva. And then it really, then he made it like this from that day on, and that it changed everything. And then he gave me Pujari duty to take care of the temple, which was quite exceptional to do the main temple as a Westerner, and many Indians were looking very strange. What's happening? What's Babaji doing now to put a Westerner in the temple? That was like not clean and not okay, but Babaji could play everything. That's a little bit how I came to Babaji, and that there are many stories I can speak about later, but I would like to now first get you to know a little bit Anjani and her story, how she came to Babaji, not in a physical way, but in another way. And it is also very touching. It's to see the depth of how that can be. Yeah, I'll stop here, Amloti, and then.
Thank you, Pujari. Thank you. And
Yeah.
Anjani, welcome.
Nice to meet you all, and thank you for all of you coming. And for me, it's first time meeting is like this. Usually we meet in live with people. So, and it's a big privilege, of course, that Pujari is meet Babaji in physical body. So yeah, I didn't have that kinds of chance, but I meet him in my heart. And the story is that in my childhood, it was very difficult time for me. And I grew without father. And my mother, she was somehow, she has been too young to take care of me and always busy with her own life. And I always have been alone. So far I noticed, or with my grandma, but great grandma also didn't have much time for me. So it was pain, dramatic pain of abundance I go through. And that time, close to 20s, it's come to the kinds of peak that where I felt it very frustrated about family and country situation, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I looking for the way out of it. And one day, my friend has told me that there is one clinic which I have to visit. And I went to clinic, and this clinic is very close by to one main cathedral in Moscow, and it was in the center. And after clinic, I had a strong pull to come inside of this church. And so I went, and inside I felt that very strong relief, and I felt that light, and didn't know what is going, like I'm visit God. And it was interesting for me. And while I'm going to have to continue to go to clinic, I have to and I have been continue to go same way to church. And it was inspiring me very much. And one day I come inside of the church, and it was unusual situation because church was full of people and you cannot go even through. And I asked somebody for what is going on, and they told me that there is a holy icon is arrived. And there is a big line to that icon, and they told me that the saint is called Nicola Miracle, and that he is filling up all your wishes, and that he is really making many miracles. So they told me that I have to go through it too. So I pick up the one candle and I stay all line, and I come close to icon, and I told him that I don't know any prayer. I'm sorry, and I just asking you that can you please help me to go on the right direction, that if you can pull me on the road of the truth, because I can't live anymore like this. It is too much and I have too much pain, so please help me. So I bow to him, give a kiss, and then I left. And then in short while miracles start to happen. And after that I have been continue probably to go like around 2 weeks more to this church, but in a short of 1 week, I meet one girl, my friend, and she is bring me to spiritual center in Moscow, and she said, well, you look so miserable, you definitely have to come, and we are all vegetarians, and that was for me very strange anyway, but I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna try. And it was a summertime, and there was a summer camp in a forest, and they invite me to participate with them. And so it was a first time experience, and there was in this spiritual center 4 directions. There was a Sai Baba, Osho, Jesus Christ, and Babaji. So for me, it was having very, very strange, because I saw all the people, they're holding the pictures close to their hearts, and they're walking with these pictures and smiling. And for me, it was very strange. So they told me information about all of these saints, more or less, and I didn't feel any click with nobody except about Babaji. They told me that there is a very short information because they don't know very much so far, that is great saint, and that he is a common the most difficult time for people to help, for all human being. And so, and the picture which they had is like a young picture, and whereas Babaji very beautiful, and his curled hair around. And this picture we had it, they told me that he has not been burned by mother, and that he is appear in one cave, and and then many miracles also happens around him. So, but because he is a young and beautiful, I don't know exactly what it was, have been some attracted to me. And we had a tent, and in our entrance of the tent, we have one photo, and we fixed this photo close to the entrance, that we always, when we have been laid down, that we have facing the Babaji. So every day I'm watching this photo, and then also in the evening times we used to sing some bhajans with guitars. Harmonium nobody that time had, and I'm looking at the fire, and there is a thought come in my mind that I would like to see that how Babaji smile. And so I was thinking, well, and that night it was happens very beautiful big dream, but it's well, actually it was not the dream, but I felt it like the Babaji come for real. The situation is that I went to sleep, and then in the night I have to wake up, and there was very strong storm. I will go and tell you a little bit of the dream. And from the storm is all our tent is shaking very much, and usually when you are open the eyes in the night, you always see the frame of the pictures. And when I opened the eyes, there was no frame of the picture. I think, well, probably his picture is fall down. So I crawled it and tried to find this picture, and then I say, well, we're very sad, tomorrow I'll gonna fix it. So I put it close to my head, and I went to sleep back. And I had one dream that I'm open my eyes in the dream, and then I look at the same, and I was in the same tent, and I look at this picture, and picture become alive. The same storm, it was in the dream, and Babaji was looking on some side, and because of the storm, his hair was all floating away, and then slowly he started to change his face and direct to my face and give me very, very big smile. And the energy was so strong that it comes inside of me and inside of my eyes. It was like one sparkle that I hardly could handle. And because of that, I have to close my eyes because it was too strong was for me. And when I opened eyes, there was not anymore. Babaji was not alive anyway. So that was, and by that experience, I was felt it like he was almost come inside of me, and it was so strong that I felt that all my body was filling up with like with electric shock, sort of. So when I wake up, and then I told to people that I had a dream, and they have to say to me that Babaji not dream every day, so this is quite kinds of darshan for you. And so it was very clear that I felt very strong attraction, and after
Anjani, I think we've lost you a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so Mohan to everyone, yeah. I think we've lost something. That's unusual. Maybe the Russian, maybe the internet is not so powerful over there outside of Moscow. I'm not sure what's going on. But there's Biggie. Hi, Biggie.
Hi.
Maybe we'll just go back to gallery for a few minutes, and hopefully they'll get their internet back together. We have a lot of new people who have joined. I see Lok's here. Hi, Lok. And there's a few people I actually don't know. Om Namah Shivaya. Achala is there. Mohan. There's Elaine. Yeah, so they must have lost connection. So hopefully you've heard so far these two beautiful stories. Maybe a couple of people want to introduce themselves. Gangapuri, can you tell us more about you, where you're from? You have to unmute.
Yes, Hari Om. Actually, I'm Gangapuri. I'm from Austria, from Vienna. I follow your group already many years, but actually I'm initiated from a different guru. He's still alive. But I read all books about the Leelas of Babaji, and I have experienced the same Leelas with my guru. So I feel some connection with Babaji, yeah. And Babaji was always present in my life somehow, and he gave me also sometimes the darshan
Somebody
in
is
a
speaking at the
dream.
moment, which I hear.
Nice.
Yes, we can
And
see
so
you.
Oh, okay, you can see me, but I'm.
Yes.
Now we can
Oh,
even
I'm
hear
so
you.
sorry.
It may be
No, that's
maybe it's too much to have two computers going on. I don't know in your place, but it's been beautiful hearing Anjani's story and your stories. They're so touching.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we maybe have to try to do it with one computer.
Okay.
Yours is not working at the moment.
Yours is working?
But I have no. What is going on? Yeah, let's see. Now I have one Zoom going, but I have to launch meeting, but I'm not getting it.
Actually, we see you just fine, Gerard.
You're seeing me?
We see you
Yes.
and Pujari very well. Yes.
Well, but strange that I'm not seeing anybody, but I can tell some stories if you want.
Okay, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Great. Okay, and I'm putting you on spotlight again. And I'm going to
okay.
everybody else to mute again. And thank
This is perfect.
happy to meet you, Gangapuri, and to see Lok and several other
I
people have
cannot hear
joined.
anything. Oh,
We're lots of people now.
I cannot hear anything.
Hariom, Hariom.
Yeah.
Like this, not possible.
Well, we have to see if I.
So we're great. So Anjani, can you tell us, the last we heard was that after the dream, the next morning, people told
So
you
I
that
start to Ramloti, any information. I was get very touched, and I'm looking for all kinds of information about him, and information was not there. So people give me like 5 pictures, and these pictures I put in my Moscow flat, and it's become like my temple. And this was very inspiration. Anytime when I come back from work, I would sit with these pictures and almost have a talk with them, simply without any prayers or whatever is what happens through the day. And these pictures even start to change the color. It was simply black and white pictures, and they slowly start to change, like to brownish become. And it was for me like I felt it like that was a sign of Babaji, that he hear me, and I start to feel him from this dream all over, everywhere, and everybody and everything. So it was highly inspiration, and I felt it like, here it is, finally I'm arrived. And it was my journey started, and I don't want anything more. And it was desire for the more only. So one time I was had also feeling that I would like to see how he walk, and or to see any kinds of his physical appearance. And then very quickly happens even that this feeling also fulfilled, because my friends called and they just invite me to see one first movie, the Babaji Darshan, and they invite me to see it for first time. And when I watched this movie, there was like explosion in my heart and my chest happens, that I cried and cried and cried non-stoppable. And I did not feel that I'm female or male. It was just felt it like my body is filling up with love and light. And that was so strong. Then after that, we heard information that there is one woman passing through Moscow, and she would give some satsangs a little bit to share about Babaji. And she was spent with Babaji life last half year before he went to Samadhi. And it was Raj from Letland, from Litovia, or Letland is correct.
Letland.
Yeah, Letland. Yeah. And so I would throw everything from my work or my agenda, and I would run to hear anything about Babaji. And then after some times we heard that she went to Siberia, and that we created several groups to help her. And I was in the last of summer group. I was asking Babaji, please help me with the money, and I would like to help this woman. And very quickly I find one simple job, because my previous job was over, because there was too many medicals, and that time they have to cancel everybody. And I get quickly money to travel to Siberia. So I went to that journey for 1 week, and I stayed 4 years with her, because it was happened with situation. So I give up completely my life, and it was family and friends. And that was felt it like I was, that's another, of course, story about Siberia. It's like one adventure for me. I was from 4 years, it was experience like 40 years. I could realize that it was have been like in a physical body with Babaji. I would felt it that there was extremely things happens quite fast and intensive. Yeah, and after that, after 4 years, there is Muni Raji going to Latvia, and then Rajni have to, because she is organizing, she have to leave and to go to prepare for that, for Muni Raji with group to come. And so she went, and somebody called her and said that they would like to offer some money for me also to come. and after all this 4 years serving, to meet Muniraji for first time. And she said, well, that's not possible because I have to take care of the temple. But there was people say that they will do this job for me and I have to travel. So I was happily come in and I meet Muniraji for first time. And of course I meet also Pujari. And that's how we come together and that gathering. And in Siberia, of course, I have been my own self Pujari, and there was a routine in these 4 years we live. It's like a ashram routine, like in Herakan, and hardly sleep and doing all the pujas and meet also many guests. And after meeting with Muniraji and also meet Pujari, then Pujari come to Siberia and pick me up, and then I come to Holt, and then another journey started. And our traveling together, and actually that's it.
So
Very beautiful.
So beautiful. Wow. 4 years in Siberia, that's quite a bit. So everybody's heard their stories. Is there a particular question you'd like to ask that sort of, you do have to unmute when you ask that question, or I'm sure they'll go ahead and tell you more stories. Randy, you unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Hi, Om Namah Shivaya. It's Rampriya. Just more stories about the, Babaji and the puja. Did he train you? Did he show you?
Yeah.
About?
For you, more stories if you can tell about Babaji.
Yeah, okay.
For the puja, how he trained you, or did you follow him?
So go ahead, if everybody could mute again, then we'll focus in on them. Thanks, Haripriya.
Some story about how that happened. After I was about 3/4 of a year or a year that Babaji, he let me play many different jobs. Like what I told, I had a fruit shop, I had a bakery, and work in the stones, and sometimes in the shop with Raghuveer. That were the main things that he let me play with. But then one day we were standing in front of the main temple, and Baba looked at me, he said, you tomorrow hear puja. But I said, Babaji, I don't know how to do this. No, this temple, I don't know. He said, you Om Namah Shivaya. That was my initiation into learning to do the puja. And there were 2 old pujaris, Lokiji and another pujari. And from them I had to learn how to wash the murti, how to dress everything, all the practical things I had to learn like in one day, which in one way, it's not difficult once you know it. So it took me a few days to learn and to clean and to make prasad and to do everything. And I was very happy to have like one beautiful job. It kept me also in a very strong discipline and rhythm and contact with Babaji every day. So I was actually went very easy to learn all these things from 2 old pujaris, I can say. And they were very devoted, very beautiful towards Babaji and great devotion. But it's not only beautiful to be around Babaji, because I can tell you some intense story of more or less from how Babaji was teaching, not only me, but many people. And I want to share this part because it's probably also lovely for other people to see how Babaji was working. Because there was one day, I was normally preparing the puja and had everything done. And as a pujari in the evening time, I made a big plate of prasad. And this plate of prasad, during the end of the arti, when Babaji would come and take his place on the asan, I would bring this prasad to Babaji and he would take something. And then I had to distribute it among the devotees, which is a beautiful service to see everybody and to pass on this prasad. But that time I came with this big plate of prasad to Babaji, and he made a gesture like, no, I don't want this. This is no good. You go away. And it was an incredible shock, you can imagine. If you come with the prasad for Baba, and he didn't want it. He didn't want have anything. So I just kind of in shock walked out of the temple room and went back to the little Pujari room where I prepared everything. And I said, but what's going on? Why is this happening? And then I realized that afternoon I was quite in a hurry to make the prasad in the temple because I was somehow late for bath and probably been talking with some people. And so I did make the prasad in a hurry. And then I understood that's why Babaji didn't accept this offering. So I share it because it's the beauty, because Babaji works on so many levels. On one way, he was also plugging my psychology system in because of the rejection, to have you feel that on a personal level. I took it, of course, very personal, that I felt rejected and what's going on. And that were very good lessons. But the main lesson was, whatever you do, you have to do with attention. You cannot be in a hurry. You have to be present. You have to be alert. And that kept me, that teaching has been with me for the rest of my life, of course. That's why I share it. It's so important that whatever we do, if we do it in a hurry, then I know Babaji doesn't like it. We have to do it with attention, and then it will be, if you do it with love and attention, it will be happily accepted. Otherwise, Babaji had no interest in it. So that was for me a very beautiful teaching. And another beautiful moment I can share is also when I was learning to play the harmonium. I was one day singing the arti in the temple with everybody, and Babaji was sitting on his asan in the last part. And then playfully, Babaji had one like cloth around himself and a mala around himself and a beautiful feather sticking out of it. And while I was playing, I looked at Babaji in the Hediya Kandi we were singing. And on this moment, I looked at him and said, wow, he looks so beautiful. No, he's like the chief of the American Indians, was kind of going through me. And on that moment, he picks up a bag of nuts and throws it at me over the harmonium, plop, in my lap. And said, wow, this was so amazing. Oh, Babaji knows everything. I knew already he knows all my thoughts and all my feelings, but that kind of communication, it is still from such a divine level that I thought, well, he's really God incarnated. No, that was my next almost heartfelt thought from, he is really God incarnated. What are we experiencing here? What we are singing here, this arti is really a prayer to God, but I'm sitting here in front of God singing these beautiful praises. I was just getting also emotional in my heart. And on that moment, of course, I don't know, Babaji took this mala and an apple and just plopped it over the harmonium into my lap. And I don't know how I could keep on playing, but I was able to keep on playing. But I tell this to communicate how Babaji would communicate with us from such another divine level. And that was, of course, for all of us, for Ramloti and all the others around him, you can see that Babaji is not a human being. He knows everything. He is such a beauty in his movements, and he doesn't seem to have any thinking going on, like from a human perspective. He is always incredibly present, and he's aware of what's going on in the world. He can quote Shakespeare, he can quote James Brown. Although when I came, I often felt from, wow, I come so late now. I often longed for this beautiful yogi Babaji, who he was the first years of his incarnation, where I could recognize him, this purity of a fresh-born baby, in this beauty. He moved in a big body, but he had that purity and beauty of undescribable. And slowly he went into he became us. He became human in the sense. He started to behave like a human being, even walking through the riverbed with sunglasses on and a transistor radio and calling a man from, hey, you, come. And it was such a difference of the divine yogi towards that being, divine being, like divine human being he became. And I realized slowly, also in the end, when it was coming close to his samadhi, I could see that Babaji was changing face. The darkness came in the last months. It became very different. I will tell you one more story about that, because that was also very impressive to me, about Babaji's close to his samadhi. Because too, I was very addicted to Baba's physical form, and he gave me many other little insights. But about two or 3 months before he went in samadhi, he sent me to the other side to be a Pujari next to Gorari on the Gufa side. And I was happily moving to that side and took care of some of the temples. There was only a Ram Kutir and a cow and Gorari and another Indian Pujari. And we had a beautiful time to take care of that. Every day Babaji would come for darshan and he would eat something. Gorari would cook for him something. And we had like a little darshan with Babaji every day. And if I would come to the other side to have darshan on the main side, then Babaji would look at me from, what you come to do here? Just you're on the Gufa side. And I realized that later, after 14 February, that it was only he prepared me to be in Hirakan and be a Pujari and be in devotion without his physical presence. That was the main message he gave me in the end. And I also strongly remember that the moment on 14 February, when he was the day that he went in Samadhi, I heard that Babaji was not well. And already for 4 or 5 days, Gorari was not on the Gufa side. He was staying with Babaji to take care of him in his kutir. So I had to also take care of the mother temple and all the other temples. But I heard Babaji is really not well, and I was worried. I said, well, I go to the other side. So on the 14th in the morning, I went after the Aarti, like 8 o'clock. I went to Babaji, and he was sitting outside in a chair with a blanket around him. And when I came down the stairs, Mansingh let me in. He said, yeah, go. And I went to Babaji, and I looked in his eyes, and I said, but Babaji is fine. I looked in his eyes, and Babaji is fine. He picked up an apple from under his place and gave me an apple, and I slowly walked off to the Gufa side again. But then when I came at the Gufa, there was in front of the mother temple, there was lying a dead bird, a dead crow. And that crow was being eaten by 6, 7 other crows. They were all picking on him, like picking on that dead bird. And it was like a horrible scene for me. And a crow is a very special animal, and I felt strange. But I had to take buckets of water, and I cleaned it all up. And after that thing, it was already getting later. I had some cup of milk. And then I heard the big news that Babaji went in Samadhi, or Babaji was not breathing anymore. At that time, it was still, well, is she going to breathe again, or if it's really the end? Well, slowly I realized during the day that it was really the end of his incarnation, that he was not going to breathe again. So it was a very dramatic morning for everybody, and it was like life completely stopped. Everything stopped, because we were living there like life would go on forever, like in this atmosphere around Babaji. But it was a huge drama that everybody just sat on the riverbed or sat on his wherever it was. Everything stopped. And then slowly, well, the whole Samadhi ritual started, but I was somehow in one way protected from it, because I had to do my job at the Gufa site to take care of the temples and keep that going, but in a very strange state of mind, I can say. well, these are the 1, 2, 3 stories that come to my heart and mind to share with you, which they were very intensive, because you can imagine to be around Babaji is yeah, I was aware it was not a human being. He was far beyond a human being, and it's the beauty and serenity of all his movements, actions, and then there is, I cannot comprehend the depth of his being, his omnipresence, his omniscience, these qualities that he has. Is such amazing to have lived with him so closely in many moments. Another nice thing that he told me one time when I was preparing the arti lamp in the little Pujari kutir in Herekan, which was a nice moment when I was still taking care of the temple. Then when I was preparing the wicks and the ghee and put them in the arti lamp, then Babaji came sit next to me in this little kutir with a little fireplace. And then just out of the blue, he started to talk with me about a few things. And he said, later, after work, you will sit at fire. And at that time, I didn't even know what really a fire ritual was or what a havan was. But I tell this to show that Babaji gave me more of these signs, that he was beyond time. He would know, he knew my past. He already showed me that I was a Pujari in a past life, but he also knew my future. So he probably already knew that all this was also going to happen, that his message would spread through the internet and we would be speaking stories. And I still have great faith that his message is just beginning, just the beauty of Babaji and the message he has for humanity. We are just lucky people to be part of that we play a part in that divine messenger that came to earth. And I'm often in amazement how this is unfolding. And that's the whole story, how Muniraji guided me in to start an ashram in Holland and to start to work again, and all the miraculous things that happened to get it really out of the ground and all out traveling. It's, that has been very inspiring for us, how with Anjani together and with Goradev, we go to Japan, and many beautiful sharings we had. And I think we are still on that. And with all of you, we are all kind of servants of Baba. I still feel that there's nobody big or small. We all have a part to play in this. And that's why Babaji called me. And I had a beautiful part to play. I'm very thankful for all the service I've been able to do. And I don't even feel that I did anything. It's often like, we just have to let it happen. But if we can let it happen, like how we are breathing, we have to let our life just flow away in devotion and see what's next to serve and what's best to serve. And the love is only growing. I think through the years, I'm still often tend to be a little serious and a little bit mental. And at the same time, I see Babaji slowly breaking my heart more and more, that there is not an hour passes without my incredible love and miraculousness of this life that I can experience. And at the moment, we have often a little bit of quiet time in Russia. For everybody, it's maybe more or less quiet, but we are very quiet because I don't have much of the responsibility anymore for the Dutch ashram. So that's in one way a great relief, but also very beautiful that we are at the moment very deep in our connection with the puja and the nature in a very, very quiet way. And I'm for that very, very thankful that we have also this period in our life. And let's see where it goes from here. I love, Ramloti, what you're doing, this kind of sharing the magic of Babaji and the beauty of Babaji that we have experienced so close by in whatever way we could accept or understand and play along. But it is it won't stop. I can see this will go on and on and on. It is such an incredible divine being that we cannot start to describe it. No, you can only cry about it. That's probably what happens every other day for me when I walk in the temple. I have tears in my eyes just from being touched by such a divine being. it is, it's hard to explain.
You've explained it beautifully, Pujari. And
Yeah, what to say.
I'm not the only one with many tears in my eyes. So,
Mm.
and what you're saying is so true. And it's so, I'm so grateful. I say thank you, thank you, thank you. Hundreds of times a day. So, thank you. Anjani, do you have a story to add of your experience, maybe traveling or in Harakan or at the ashram in Siberia? That's so, I mean, that must have been so cold up there. I mean, it's cold here when I come to the temple at 4:30 in the morning. And
Well, the difference is that in Siberia there is a dry climate, so whatever is high degree, it's much more easier for the body. And now in Moscow, it start to become also same like in Europe. Before we had more dry, but in Siberia is very, very unique dry climate. So it's very easy to go through -50, and in the summer it goes to +50. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and the beauty of this place that is, many shamanic people around and very peaceful. And the people is like, there is like so simple at what like you are feel like truth, simplicity and love what you go through. It's like 100 years back to experience, like you would experience it really 50 or 100 years back when there was this simplicity or primitivity of the life, and everything is simple. You have to bring the buckets by water by buckets, and you have to work there very hard. I remember that was for me unique time, and that's why I say that 4 years it was having experience like of almost 40 years. So intense it has been, because we wake up very early. In the winter I wake up 5 o'clock or 4:30, but in the summertime I have to wake up 3 o'clock, and that all your days of same like in ashram, and people is coming more. And winter of course much more softer, is less people coming, because we has no possibility for the people to sleep in that time, so we were only 2 of us. But intensity of the stories, and well, I can tell you one story. It was of course I have many stories also, but the one story which is also break my heart, that the time was of I did not told you that when my experience with Babaji actually started close to 20 years old. It was a Soviet Union is break in that time in 90s, beginning of 90s, and there is a lot of criminality in the country and lots of fear, and there's no money, no food. And that moment when I was, Baba somehow saved me, and that's why I go to Siberia. Only now I realize that how beautiful that he saved me that way, that I was stay there and not I have been sorry for my English.
You're doing good.
So because it's not my language, it's sometimes not always easy to express myself. And in Siberia it was a very primitive and very simple. The people is very simple and they are very open to communicate. And anyways, the story is because of this criminality and everything, there was very hard times have been. And Rajini was that time before the Soviet Union has been break, she was already in Russia, and in her passport there was no stamp of permission to, because when she come to Russia, it was like a Soviet Union. But when she was staying 1 year, Soviet Union has been break down, and she did not have a visa for that she's come from Latvia, and that she had the permission to stay in Russia. So one day policemen come to us and they say that you are the woman foreigner, you have to come tomorrow to main office to government to close by village, and they will check up your stamp. So that's first time when Rajni was, I had never have seen, see, she is woman who had so much courage in her life. And that time she was sitting and crying, and she said, well, Anjani, it's finished and everything will be finished because I have no stamp. They probably gonna put me in the prison. And suddenly I had a strong inside feeling that how could you say this? You have been physically with Babaji and you know him, and how is it possible that you lose your faith? And it was so strong appear inside of me that I have to tell her and to bring her up and to say, well, it is not possible. This has to be something will gonna happen anyway. Don't worry. So she went to this office, and that time is because of Rajni come to Siberia. There are many TV and radio. There have been interest why to this spot of simple village come one foreigner. So people many times is come and making videos of us and to ask many questions, and they put it on TV. And so what happens is that she come to this office. Anyway, the story is that when she's come back and she said, Anjani, you can't imagine what this happens. And I said, so what is happened? She said, quite a miracle happens. I open up the door of this main office, and this woman at that time is, if you see somebody on TV, it's having something special. So when she opened the door to this woman, and Rajni was have been quite often on the on TV because they was come quite often to us. So she opened the door, and this woman, she started to shake her hand, and she said, I saw you on TV. You have been on TV. For me, it's very big privilege that you come to my office. So come sit, I will give you a cup of tea and whatever you want, and tell me how is your life. So Rajni quickly give her bracelet with Om Namah Shivaya. So for her, it was very special, like she would give her one diamond. And she said, you cannot believe she forgot about the passport. And at the end, she would told her that, what did you come for to my office? And Rajni said, well, I actually come for that you can put me one stamp. And she said, well, where do I have to put? And then Rajni opened her passport. She put the stamp somewhere that she is have been there anyway. And then she left it this way. She come all shaking, and she said, you cannot imagine, this would be never ever possible for me. So this was another miracle. And stories like this we had many. So
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do want to say I hear
Beautiful.
something in the background. Could everybody check their computer and make sure they're muted? So
I don't
Thank
hear
you.
good.
That's
No,
perfect.
she said you have to check something with your
I
computer.
heard
or
something in the background. Thank you.
Oh, there's somebody
That's such a
else.
beautiful story. Because it's
Yeah.
important, and you remembered, sometimes when we get scared,
Yeah.
it's easy to forget, but there's somebody there that has also faith. That's the beauty of satsang. You had satsang with Rajani in that moment and helped her. And then of course, Baba was there taking care of us moment to moment. I bet you will both have so many stories of Baba taking care of you moment to moment.
No, Ramaloti, there is one more story I want to tell you. There's also about the criminality that not only TV would come to our village, but also many criminal aspects, because inside of their own, they would be known that one foreigner also come to that village and one young girl from Moscow. So they would come. You cannot imagine, in this old nowhere known village, they would come in the long limousines to us, and they would walk inside and say that they also believe to God and they would like to know what is going on here. So Rajni would give to everybody bracelets. So, and these people would be very impressed. So they would all go back to Omsk. Omsk, it's close by city to where we have been. It's like 4 or 5 hours to drive. and many people through the summer would pass from Omsk to us, and they would get to the rituals and to know also stories about Babaji, about me, about Rajni. And Rajni would that time had many bracelets. She would give to everybody one bracelet for free, and the people, and she would say that this bracelet protect you very much, is with mantra Om Namah Shivaya. So it's, and she would tell them never to take it out in the very difficult time. It will always give. So people was known this, and there was one story that this criminal aspect, they take one man and they want to kill him. The story come later to us, and they almost, before they want to kill, they open his arm, and they saw on that man to whom they want to kill the bracelet with Om Namah Shivaya. But previously, his wife is given to her husband, and not he visited us, but his wife. And because she knows that her man is in trouble, she is told him, please take this bracelet on you and never take it out. So criminal aspect to take them and to try to kill this man. But when they opened the arm and they saw the Om Namah Shivaya bracelet, they immediately felt that oh, that's probably some person from us. And they leave him alive, and they told him, we would kill you, but you are alive only because of this bracelet, and you are say thank you to God that you are stay alive. So that was the story. And this man, he became devotee of Babaji after. He was come to visit us, and he was on his knees because he said it was so close to death. But anyway, it was miracle happens this way. This was beyond of understand.
Wow.
How it works with Babaji.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These ashrams of Babaji are so powerful. He said, you know, make them around the world like islands in the sea of material, you know, confusion and everything. And the stories, and that's why I'm so happy you're here, Anjani, sharing, because it's not about having had to meet Babaji, you know, in a physical form. We all have met Babaji, otherwise we would not be here right now. And that's why I always want to also hear all these stories, because they're so inspiring, and the miracles that continue. Babaji is here with us.
Yeah, but Ramoti, every story is from everybody's unique. So I think it doesn't matter. All of us had their own story, and I'm sure that if it touches your heart, that it also Babaji work with all of us in the same way.
Well, I can see in our relationship also, Ramloti, many times I feel that Anjani has many times more faith than me. And that is, she has so much of Babaji in her heart and trust and things in life where I'm still learning things. And this is very, very beautiful to see somebody, she's not really physically met Babaji, but she has an intense faith in many circumstances where I start to worry. I said, don't worry, it is Babaji will, and it always happens good. I'm very blessed to have somebody next to me who has an incredible faith. And I can tell you a little bit story about one more about faith, how Babaji even gave me a very strong lesson about that. It started when we were in Delhi with Babaji at the Lal's house. There was a function going on with Vimla and Arvind and everybody. And there was also Yogi Jalendranath. For some maybe know him, but he was a beautiful sadhu. Baba made him a sadhu, and he was beautiful singing bhajans and singing for Babaji. And during that festivity, I was there also around Babaji in the early times. I was not so long with Babaji at that time. But Yogi Jalendranath, he came to me and he said, well, I can give you a mantra that you will have a deeper connection with Babaji. And I said, well, I don't know. Let me ask Babaji, you know. So I went to Babaji and I asked him if it was okay that I accept this mantra from this Yogi Jalendranath. And Babaji said, he kind of lightly said, no, later you will get initiation. And that was it. So But then about 1 or 2 months later, when we were in Heerhugowaard, I had some very deep experiences of devotion with Babaji. And I felt I still had quite some money left. And I felt, well, that's not going to help me anyway. I want to give it to Baba because I don't need it anymore. I live here my life in the ashram. So I went up to Babaji with the intention to say, well, Babaji, I really want to stay here. I can get a long-term visa. And I want to offer you whatever money I have left. So I walked to Babaji with this offering. And then he started to kind of scold me almost. He said, what are you doing? You have no faith. Why you go to a man, why you can take initiation from a man if you are my devotee? I will give you all initiation what you need. And I am responsible for your liberation. What is this? I don't like men without faith. You need ultimate faith like Mount Meru. And then he kept going. It's in the speeches, this thing. But I was so shocked because I didn't ask this man for initiation. No, he came to me for this. So I felt somehow that Baba got it not straight. No, I didn't ask for initiation. But then I realized a little later that even the thought to ask Babaji that if it was a good idea for this, that was already enough to say, no, that's not okay. If you're my devotee, you need 100% faith. You cannot have, if you're in front of me, how can you think that there might be somebody else that can give you some initiation? It was, of course, a very strong moment for me. And slowly I realized it was not only for me that Babaji made this whole drama in the Kirtan hall with a full Kirtan hall, and again making me like I did everything wrong. No, you have no faith. He said, you go home, you have no faith, you're like this. I don't like devotees. I need 100% faith. So this was a very incredible shock for me. And at the same time, a great lesson to say, well, this comes to me many times when I have any doubt, just relax, Pooh, have faith. Babaji told me, he's responsible for our liberation. He is responsible for everything. Put all your worries, all your troubles, you constantly, every day, really not make pranam with empty, but really put everything every day at his feet. That's the only way a real devotee can live. He needs 100% faith. So it's for both of us, this is the way we live. This is the way we are practicing our faith. And that's probably for everybody. We are so struggled because we want to do it ourselves. And this ourself is an illusion. We have to breathe. Our devotion is like breathing. We have to live with Baba like we are breathing. We are not really doing it. We have to somehow see through the illusion of a personal life. And faith is like a medicine. Faith and devotion is the thread to get to and stay at his feet. I also had a beautiful dream that once that I was making pranam to Babaji, and I put my head on his feet, and then he lifted one of his legs and put his knee on my back, that I could not lift my head from his foot again. I could not stand up because he had his knee pressed on my back, so I could not get up. And then I realized, yeah, that's really like it is. Like I am such a wild horse. It's Babaji keeping me at his feet every day. Because out of my own strength, I would run in 100 directions and made 5,000 mistakes. But because he keeps me at his feet, it's somehow working that I can still be a sincere devotee and be of service somehow. But it's all his grace that is happening to all of us. No, it's just, can we be aware of that we live in such a bubble of divine grace, this omnipresent being is watching over us. Yeah, it is like this. It's only our faith and our heart can we feel it, can we live it. What do I say?
Yeah.
So beautiful. Thank you, Pooh. So true. And when we remember that, it just feels like all the troubles and worries just sort of wash away because we're in this bubble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I don't hear the tip, but it's even.
It's like she said, everything get washed because we are on bubble of love.
Yeah.
So we have a few more minutes. Does anybody have a specific question for Pujari or Anjani? And I did want to say that what you were saying, Pujari, about Anjani is like, I've often thought that the people who actually did not meet Babaji in physical form have a certain advantage because we were so entranced with his beautiful image and form. I remember one time asking him a question and he just smiled at me and all I heard was, go inside. And so the people who haven't actually met him in physical form, that's where they've always been. It's right with them in their hearts. So it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anybody has another question or wants to share something?
I do. Hello, my name is Biggie. I'm German. I live in south of France. And I got to know Babaji actually through YouTube. I never heard of him. I never read a book, nothing, never. I never even came close to know anything about him. So this was Christmas. This happened Christmas 1 year ago that I came across his picture. And with this picture, there were some, I can say, some phrases like I am harmony, I am you, or things like that. Truth, simplicity, and love. And that, I mean, first of all, when I saw his picture, I just got this incredible pull. I could not explain how, why. It was just, it just really happened to me. You know, I was not looking for anything. It was just like, whoa. And ever since I have not, this has not let me loose, how can I say? And this way I also got to know Ramloti and all her videos and everything. And my question to you is actually, or to all of you, you probably experienced this famous scent of Babaji, that he was this, how can I say, fragrance that he had around him.
Fragrance?
Fragrance?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the smell of a
Yeah.
rose. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I wanted to know what was this fragrance like?
Different kind for my experience.
Okay. Mhm.
Even in the forest, sometimes that's how you also notice his presence around you. For me, he was really, I felt it like he's alive in the room through the pictures, you know, from my personal experience. And sometimes you are walk or in some moments you get this incredible fragrance, but it's different always, but you really feel it with him. I don't know, for Pujari.
Yeah, I had it also a few times, but it's difficult. I'm not so good with smells, but it's something between rose and sandalwood. I sometimes smell it at once in the temple or just around in the ashram or even walking outside. I had a few incidents that I have this strong sense. And Babaji had a beautiful smell around him, and then I'm looking around for what's going on. So I had a few times darshan through the smell, I can say. Yeah.
Kapur is named this smell also.
So I had once this this smell occurring to me. I was lying in bed and it was a smell definitely I had not known. It was very exotic. I have never had the smell.
Like
I don't know. I've never experienced anything like it, and it was definitely not the bed sheet. So yeah, so I wanted to always know what was actually the fragrance that Babaji was, having around him.
different ones.
Yeah, in Babaji's presence, they often also put perfume on him. So it could be some henna or some other quality, jasmine. They put many perfumes on him. But at the same time, sometimes if he's not physically present, there is also a specific smell that sometimes I walk up the stairs, even in Herekan, and I smell, and it's like Babaji is walking in front of me or behind. And yeah, he gives sometimes a sign of his presence somehow.
Presence.
Yeah. And for me, it is mostly some rose mixed with sandalwood, what I smell. But he's all around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for some time I was really struggling with the idea that actually I was still very young when he was, 1970 coming to Huracan. And I was struggling with the idea that actually I was living on Earth at the same time he was, but I never got to meet him. So that was, I was really struggling with that for some time.
The same.
So,
I had the same. When I have this dream of Baba, and it was not a dream, but he really come out of the picture to me, and he really come inside of me. Then I was start to worrying, and not worrying, but I would often ask Rajni. I say, "Well, it's so beautiful that you meet him," and it was like I also born in 70. From 70, and he was from 70 to 84, and why did I not have a chance? I was on the earth all these 14 years. But she said to me, Anjani, but it's not important to meet him. There's a millions of the people to meet him in physical, but it's important that to get touched in your heart. It is like that is what is important, but not to that was make it to me. So Violet.
yeah.
Actually, in my experience, I never have feel I miss anything. Of course, it would be fun to meet him in physical body. Beautiful experience. But in the same time, he's so much around me in the nature and in the people around you. If you sense he's all the time. Only it's the for us is like only the matter of to notice him around of you.
Yeah,
and actually
I agree with you.
Yeah, and when I feel sore in my heart, in my life, after I meet him, he would always send me some kinds of animal. It would be one little rabbit, or one deer, or one very beautiful big bird. And slowly I start to realize this, that he take my attention from this sorrow and sadness in my heart. And it would be so touched that it would be like, Baba, thank you so much. It's like, I can feel, how could I be like feel this sorrow or sad for so long, because that he always would be take my attention out from one bird or one little animal, which would make me so happy, immediately change.
Yeah. No, I can feel that very, very well as well. And I have a lot of synchronicities also happening in my life. So I don't have this regret anymore. So I think what we can really feel him in the heart, and we just have to pay attention.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vicky. Glad you got your audio working.
Yeah, I'm on my iPhone today, not on my computer.
Okay.
Where
Yeah, I would like to say, Loti,
Huh?
if there are some people, like I see you're from far, from where are you? Pakistan?
No,
What did you say?
Germany.
Germany?
No, I'm German, but I live in south of France.
Huh? From
She's German, but she lives in south of France.
inside of
Yeah.
France. Okay.
In south of
South.
France.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I
yes.
wanted to say, Ramloti, if there are some people, I don't know if we can connect that, but if people want to be more in contact with us, that's of course very possible, either through mail or we can go on Skype or on whatever medium
Good.
to connect with people. If there's any wish coming to you, that you can forward that we can meet people personally also. We have at the moment lots of time in this quiet period of our life. Connect with people. So it's if people have any wish, that is very
It's
possible.
nice also to meet
Yeah.
with everybody. Also
Yeah.
with Ramloti and
Pujari, could you right now give
Yeah.
your email address? Because I know it's pretty simple and it's probably, some people aren't like me, aren't so good at chats on this thing. So can you just tell everybody now, everybody get a pencil and paper if you have one. So you have Pujari's or Anjani's email address, and then you could email them with any requests. He just said, here we are, sitting in Russia, ready to help you and visit with you and share satsang, because it's, as I'm sure you're all feeling in your heart like I am right now, just this tearful gratefulness that we are together.
yes.
And I'm grateful for Zoom because I haven't seen Pujari and Anjani for many years, and it's, and several of you folks, I'm so grateful. So what's your email address?
Thank you so much.
Pujari, can you read it? Just say your email address.
Oh, your email address.
Yes.
Better to write it or
Well, the normal one is Pujari and then Brouwer, BROUWER @gmail.com. So it's Pujari and then Brouwer @gmail.com.
Or we can send it to Ramloti.
Yeah, but she wants it probably in this video. That's
Yeah, I think it's great. Anjani, do you have an easy one also?
I don't have email.
no, we use
Only one. Yes.
Okay, so Pujari is Pujari, and last name is BROWER.
Yeah.
At gmail.com. So
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
there you have a golden.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, let's just keep staying in touch. Next week, we have Karku and his wife, Jamuna, will be tuning in with us. It will be at 7 o'clock in the evening here because they're in Thailand. And so they'll be sharing beautiful stories again. And then the week after that, Ramlota from Italy and Ramloti from here will be talking.
Wow.
It just seems, I mean, neither of us have ever heard this name in the world. So Babaji made up this name and gave the man form to him and the female to me. And so, I mean, we'll talk about many things, but that in and of itself is an interesting synchronicity. So I'll send all this out and put it on Facebook because the times change because he's in Italy. And then the next week we'll have Loknath, who is on here, and Sandra Ray from America. So,
Beautiful.
and then after that, we're going to have Jaman Singh from Italian, Jaman Anand, excuse me, Jay Anand from Italy, and Sundar Singh from Switzerland. So the world is at our palette, and we will keep having more and more people. If you missed Hiraman, who's right here looking, his Anand Singh's last week was just amazing, and the week before was Raghavir's. So they're all on YouTube under Ramloti Wood YouTube, and go to the library, and there's something called Satsang with Devotees, and those will be where they all will be. And oh yeah, I'm on there too with Mukundi translated. I did a French satsang with her French group. So it's just amazing and wonderful. Thank you all for being here. And I'm so happy.
Thank you, Ramloti.
So
Thank
happy to
you.
see you again, Pujari.
Yes, thank you all.
Before
It also happens because of you.
you go, in the chat, Vishal says that he has a question.
Yeah.
for
Hi,
Pujari.
this is Vishal. Om Namah Shivaya, everyone.
Yes.
I am from India, but I am working in US for quite a long time now. So my question is to Pujari ji. Since you have been with Babaji during his Samadhi time as well, so and you shared your experience, did he give like any hint or any indication that he is going to come back? And like, if yes, when he's going to come back? In the
Oh, Vishal. Yeah, you have our heart's wish. No, it is.
What?
We have to grow up to the level that we can experience him all the time, of course. And at the same time, the world would be very benefited if Babaji comes back. My personal feeling is that he's probably already in a body and that he might come out when the biggest part of the kranti that we're going through now is passing. I believe we get a lot of turmoil more coming. And my feeling when all these stories were happening when Babaji's coming back in 5 years or in 10 years or in 3 years, my feeling from the beginning was that he is coming back after the biggest part of the kranti is done to guide humanity further on. Until that time, I don't think there's need. I think the effect that he wanted the big revolution and destruction happening. And I'm afraid that we still have to go through a lot of renewal and chaos. And I hope in my heart that my wish comes out, that he will come back. It would be beautiful if he comes now, but I think in my heart, I feel he will only come after the biggest turmoil. The Kranti has moved on quite a bit. And then he can play a beautiful part and be more known to a lot of people, to a bigger part of humanity, and guide something in a new direction if we really want a change of heart in billions of people in the world. Anyway, that's my take on it. And at the same time, he's probably has a body somewhere, but I don't think he will come out knowable to us at the moment in a short time. But that is just my personal take on it, Vishal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Glad to hear. Yeah.
Pujari, do you are you aware of the saying that, some people think that he might come to the West instead of the East? What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
No.
It's
It's more or less the same. Yeah, I have also the feeling that if he comes, it will be a worldwide thing. I think even the ashram in Holland, many times I feel he's almost present there. And it is so well prepared. And at the same time, I think also America and Germany and many ashrams are so prepared. If Babaji would come physically, it would fit. We would be able to handle it. So also here in Russia, I think he can easily come here. So it is for me a very great, yeah. Let me say, so far it's imagination, but I can imagine that if he comes in another body, it might not be only the West, but it might happen that he comes in the West and then visits the East. But for me, it's more logical that he comes out of India or Nepal or Tibet, that he comes from that area and is able to shift either physically or have another body going in the West. No, it's very difficult to really, I don't really know, of course, but it is my feeling also that if he comes back, it will be for the world. Yeah. Because we are preparing something. We are preparing his coming, and at the same time we have to do our job to spread his message. That is most important, that we learn to live like he is there. No, I go to my temple as if Babaji is sitting there, and I make pranam in the Holland ashram or in the American ashram, and Babaji is sitting there. Now we have to have that attitude of devotion, and then it doesn't matter so much if he's really sitting there or not sitting there. But often if I move through the ashrams or also in the world, sometimes I even feel he's sitting next to me, but we have to move like Babaji is here. And yeah, ultimately he's
sense.
in our heart, and if our mind completely is gone, then we will be seeing him everywhere. But until that time, we have a little bit these dreams about his physical presence still as a longing. Yeah. And I'm Loti, is Babaji coming back?
He's here.
He's here around us.
Yeah,
He's here all the time.
Pujari,
And I always think it's Baba's grace and his will, and who am I to decide what he's going to do? I can't even fathom the whole mystery. But he did say, until there is a change of the heart, so I've always believed in that part of the Kranti, that if we can change our hearts and everybody's hearts into loving, compassionate people, maybe the huge chaos doesn't have to happen so bad. So that's
our devotion. Yeah, of course, so much devotion is going on, and Raghuvi is pulling up now the big mantra action to do a lot of thousands, 100,000s of mantras for Babaji, to really try to do together a kind of tapasya what Mahendra Maharaj did alone, to attract Babaji to show up in a physical form. If it's not for us, then at least for the world. The world needs healing. But again, for my taste, I believe first the world has to break down a little bit more, because human beings, we have been not so good in this world. So I think we have to pay a price for that as human beings on a large scale. And then we have to rebuild with another kind of human heart, build it up again. So to my taste, we will first go much further down the hill before we can climb up and on a world level create a better society. There is so much going on which is almost unstoppable by all these good intentions from good people, that I still feel that's why Babaji also said many times, it's impossible to help the world now. First, there has to come a big destruction before it can be rebuilt. So I unfortunately have to stay with it. I don't think we have a smooth time coming. I believe the biggest difficulties still have to happen for humanity. We have to pay the price. We have misbehaved. We have been inhuman, and we have to pay a price for them. And from this suffering that then comes over us as human beings, we will be able to create with more awareness to stand in this world. Yeah, again, that's all my feeling and take on it.
Yeah. Well, we read every day in the Devi Bhagavatam, and we have a small study group that several of these people are part of. And, we're always reading about, like you're saying, that every action, we have a equal reaction. And so,
yeah.
So this does make sense.
Yeah.
That because we have been inhumane so much and unkind to one another, that we will also have to live through that with as much love and compassion and focus on Babaji as we can.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here.
Can I ask a question?
I'm fine. Pujari and Anjani, it's getting late for you. Are you okay?
We are okay.
Yeah, we are okay. Very okay.
And if anybody needs to go, we love you. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so if I'm remembering correctly, when Muni Raj sent out that communication so long ago, Did he not, did he, say- if I, do I remember correctly, he said Babaji would come to the West as a female, as a woman, right? Am I remembering right?
Not that I know.
No.
I've
No,
not
not as a
heard him
female.
say that. I've heard him say that Babaji is already in the body, and that's about
Yeah.
that. He has really said that Babaji is in the body and in the Himalayas, and it's up to him if he comes out, if he shows this body to us or to another group of people, or it's up to Babaji. But I don't at all understood that it's a female body. I've heard rumors about that from other people, but I think Muniraji strongly speaking about the boy was in the body.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jane.
Anjani, I have a question for you. Since you had a very difficult childhood, I was wondering, now that you have gone through so many great experiences and lived in so many different places, opportunities you probably never thought would happen to you. Has that helped things with your mother? Just curious.
Well, what can I say? My mother, she's on the level, the way how she doesn't change, I would say. It was still, she's still going through the difficult, she always having very difficult, and it doesn't change much. So she's looks like she will not gonna pick up. She never have been appreciate any part of my life. Actually, it's opposite having. So what she, at least it's only change inside of myself, how I could perceive her, how I would face her. It doesn't matter. My observation of her getting softer and more lovable. In the past, it would be mission impossible to communicate anyhow, but now I feel only love for her in my heart, but to communicate with her is very difficult because he is full of negativity, and it's still, even I try to make it softer or whatever, she doesn't understand. I pray only to God for her in my heart that that he make softer something for her. So, but her life is miserable, and it's going that way, and nothing I can do. I tried all my life, I'll tell you, but it's like a walking through the wall. I felt it like I destroy myself because I so much want to help her and to give that warm feeling and to give her love, but it was never possible. It was not accepted. And there was so much pain inside of her until now. So my heart is blossoming to her, but she is on the way how she is. So,
I think you're very courageous, and I'm sure things will change over time.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I pray
Babaji helped. Sorry,
yeah.
Babaji helped both of my parents, even though they did not understand that he was helping them. So I'm sure over time things might, at least she'll know that you love her. You know, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I think it's important.
Thank you, Annapurna. So lovely to see you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And perhaps sometime you can be on this, Annapurna, and tell some of your stories and how you got your name from Babaji too. We'll talk.
What a lovely,
Yeah.
to hear everybody's story, very nice.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you to all of you.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Yeah, thank you all. It is lovely to meet.
Well, thank you, Ram Loti, because of you is all
Yeah.
have to happen through.
I've heard that a few times, but it's all very it's partly self-centered because I love these people. And we've been doing them in our temple for years, and now we do it in our Zoom temple. So yes, I'm very grateful. So thank you all. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Love you.
Thank you.
Will they?
Yes.
Bole Baba ki jai.
Yay.
Yay.
Bole
Yay.
Baba ki jai.
Jay.
Yay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, everybody.